about, right? We got Peter, we got Dawson, we got PJ, we got Joe, Phil. Who did I miss in the chat? Kenneth, AIH. Still don't know who you are, but good to see you. Christos, good to see you guys. What's going on today? I don't know. We, you know what? I'm always interested in the fact that every quarter we get earnings season, and in that week or so prior to earnings season, which we're in right now, it seems like everything gets kind of muted, and there's just a lack of like individual corporate headlines because everyone's in their quiet period, and so things are happening in the overall markets and with the rates and the yield curve and the inversion or the not, and things are happening there. But as far as like individual headlines, things are pretty quiet right now, but things will pick up again next week. And yeah, Mark Newton is today's guest, so let's go. Let's start the show. Bring JC on, and here we go.
Hey. Oh, we out here. Strazza is not getting hit by a hurricane. Is that what's happening?
Not yet, but I expected him to be like preparing to get hit by a hurricane. So whether that means, I don't know if he's like going somewhere or not, but I did not expect him to be here today. That's for sure, because
dude's stuck at the bottom of Florida. He ain't going anywhere.
He's got things to do, man. He's got sandbags to put up or something. I don't know. I don't know what you do to prepare for a hurricane, but
you play Monopoly. You got plenty of beer. You know, I mean, that's how to do it.
Okay, if you say
so. You're talking about sandbags.
Well, yeah. No. Okay. I don't know.
They don't even have sand in Key West.
Oh. Okay.
Have you ever been to Key West, Spencer?
I have. Yes, I was there in 2005 or 6.
There's a giant statue of Ernest Hemingway. I want you to stand next to it and take a picture.
I had some frozen key lime pie. It was quite good.
Yes.
That
is quite good. Strazza says that they do have sand. They have some sand. It's not as much as one would think, considering it's an island in the Caribbean.
Wait, Steve, are you good? Can I bring you on? You're here?
Come on, bring him on.
He's here. Hey, what up?
What are you spreading rumors about?
Strazza, don't front. If you didn't know anything about Key West, you would think that it's sand everywhere, and it's not.
Right. No, the rock beaches. And we do have sand. We just get it from Miami.
That sounds right. All good? You're going to be good, you think?
I don't know. You know, we'll see. Move north a little bit. I think we'll probably be fine. But
that's what I figured.
We'll know until this afternoon.
You know what is great about hurricanes is that if you're not getting hit by it, it sucks in all the bad weather. So if you're around the hurricane, you get beautiful weather.
Oh yes, that's great.
Somehow
it is awesome. You know how many times in high school we got school canceled because there was a hurricane coming, and then it moved in the middle of the night, so we all went to the beach because it was a beautiful day. You know how many times that happened? It was fantastic.
That's awesome. Spencer and I's version of that is school canceled for the snow, and then it doesn't snow, but you were hoping that it snowed so that you could go outside and play in the snow. So,
dude, in college at Fairfield, we would be calling the hotline to see if school got canceled the next day, and we'd have like a huge exam, and then like we would party just assuming, and then like by 2:00 they still hadn't canceled school. It's like, wow, it's too dangerous for us to get to campus 3 minutes away from here. There's no way that I can make it to this exam.
I'll never forget the guy's voice on the radio who would cancel all the schools. Bridgeport Public and Parochial delayed opening 9:30 a.m.
We didn't have a voice. We had Channel 3. You had to tune into Channel 3, and there was like a slideshow, and you had to wait to see. It was all the township announcements. You'd have to wait for it to cycle back to see, are they going to cancel school today?
this is old school. Now the kids have to go on iPads or something like that. They cancel school. Like that's no fun. All right,
we're having
let's go, baby. Come on.
Let's do it.
We got things to talk about.
Yeah, all right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Dow futures doing absolutely nothing this morning, completely flat, 42,350 for the Dow. You've got S&P 500 futures flat, also just under 5,800. NASDAQ 100 futures flat, 20,275. You got 30-year bond futures flat as well at 121. Crude oil flat, just under 74. Copper, finally, something's moving this morning, down 1%, 440 for copper. Gold flat, 26.40. Silver up about 0.75% for silver, $30.80, with the volatility index still above 21. And over in the funny money land, the day after HBO lied to everybody and told everybody that they were going to announce who Satoshi Nakamoto was, they are just big fat liars. Anything for a click, right? Bitcoin doing nothing this morning, just under 62,000. Ethereum 2430, down 0.5%. Solana down 1%, 142. Binance flat, 580. Total crypto market cap, Spencer Israel, 2.11 trillion. Bitcoin dominance, 58%.
I watched the first 30 minutes of that documentary, and I know a lot more about Satoshi Nakamoto now than I did before.
Yeah, I turned it off. It was really boring. Like, they did a really shitty job, I feel like.
Did you know any of that stuff though? Like when he mined the first Bitcoin on the first block or whatever, that he like shouted out basically like an article in the news about banks getting bailed out.
I didn't know that part. Like, did they say that yesterday? I must have not even noticed that.
Wait, what are we talking about?
In the block to
last night, hold on, explain to Spencer and maybe the audience members who are not aware, HBO came out with a documentary last night, 9 p.m., where they were revealing who the Satoshi Nakamoto actually is, but they didn't. They just lied to everybody.
But did they really?
How do you know about that? And I don't. That's what I want to know.
Did they really say they were going to do that though, JC? Are you sure?
Because I was orange pilled 10 years ago, Spencer, and you still have not been. So once you get orange pilled, you get in the know when it comes to this kind of thing. I know you're like an OG TradFi bro and everything like that, but it's time to expand your horizons. Okay. The world does not revolve around equities. Yeah,
it does a little bit.
It does.
Anyway, can I finish the story? Because I thought this was really cool. Can I tell the story about what he did? Yes. So the first Bitcoin, you can put stuff into the code, I guess, on the blockchain. And in the first block, he put a article, just word for word, the title of the article that was in some newspaper that morning about a bank in the UK like getting bailout money or something. I thought that was really neat. Fuck it. Never mind.
I mean, I thought it was boring. You know, Politico. I don't know anything about these Politico people, but they seem to be very wrong a lot about anything I see. I don't know anything about them. They were saying how what a monumentous event was happening last evening. It's going to impact the market, the price of Bitcoin, the election, and as it turns out, it didn't do any of those things.
I think Rachel's right.
Politico.
I think Rachel's right. He was an old Jewish man, and he's probably dead now.
You know that he owns 1 million Bitcoin? I don't know if it's a he. It could be a she. Probably not a she. And that's not a sexist thing. It's just that how many male coders are there and how many female coders are there? So if I was a betting man, I would bet that it is a male. I wish it was a female. That would be way better, but probably not.
I would bet that the government has every idea of who he is and what happened to him.
Maybe.
I would bet it's really no secret to some people.
Oh, yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. You might be wrong. You might be right about that. I like how your conspiracy theories. That's some Palantir shit right there.
I was just about to say, I'll bet Palantir knows. Palantir found him years ago.
Yeah, you're probably right, Strazza. And then they probably realized that he's probably dead. So let's just leave it at that. And now there's nothing to worry about, right?
Well, how do you not pay yourself after doing all that if you're still alive?
He's probably dead.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? It's like he'd be like the second or third richest person in the world or something like that.
I thought it's even more than that. I don't know.
He'd be one of the most richest. And like I said, it's probably was a he. Probably no longer.
Yeah. Shout out Mark Zuckerberg, richer than Jeff Bezos.
Wow. I like his the Jerry curl thing he's got going on now. That's cool.
So cool. He's so cool.
Bringing back the Ice Cube. Ice Cube for white guys. Right?
That's good.
Okay, can we get into slides 2, 3, and 4? Right. Let's continue with this conversation. I think this is a big one. I am not Satoshi Nakamoto. I know a lot of people thought I was. Hope I was. I wish I was. How much cooler would life be if I was Satoshi Nakamoto? That'd be freaking awesome. Everybody would win if I was Satoshi Nakamoto. I'd just be making it rain Bitcoins all over town. That'd be fantastic. Here's an interesting one. Robinhood, big move yesterday, up almost 10%. Nice, very nice job, Strazza. That is a 100% return at least. But we'll see what happens moving forward. Spencer, for those people who did not receive the alert on Robinhood, can you drop as to where they can start to receive these trades? Because now, Strazza, and I'd love for you to expand on this. Now that half has been taken off the table on a 100% return in Robinhood, now going into earnings in a couple of weeks, there is no risk and unlimited upside potential. I kind of like that.
And they've had a positive reaction to earnings on like the last 5 or 6 reports now, really since the bear market lows a few years back. Just looking at short-term change following the earnings report. So the only bet that we're making right now is that Robinhood beats earnings and sees a nice positive reaction again, and then we get paid even more on these calls. So
love it.
That's
if
the
we
idea.
Can put ourselves in a position, Strazza.
Yeah, that's really the
going
idea.
Into a high volatility event that's going to move prices, and we can go in with no risk and unlimited upside. Like if we can put ourselves in that position as many times as possible, like isn't that the best case scenario?
Yeah, and instead of, try to stay away from the earnings reports and trade around them, no, like they are what they are, and let's use them as catalysts, right? Like let's use our edge and lean right into these earnings reports. Let's try to get the double ahead of them, right? Let's play some coils that, maybe resolve, and you have a couple weeks to get paid on a double before earnings, and then you get a lottery ticket into earnings. And we're not just positioning ourselves into any old earnings report. We're looking at the earnings trend, understanding that, and I think stacking the odds in our favor by getting long the names that have, very positive earnings trends. In other words, they've been reacting positively to the past couple of reports.
Go up one, Spencer. You can see MicroStrategies here. I was looking at this a few weeks ago before the breakout. And then yesterday, this thing really started popping off. We're looking at shares of MicroStrategies relative to Bitcoin. Caleb Franzen was also talking about this. I don't know if Caleb's in the chat today. Caleb Franzen was also talking about this yesterday. Highest levels for MicroStrategy relative to Bitcoin since Michael Saylor first began buying Bitcoin for MicroStrategies. This was in the fall of 2020. Do you think it's a coincidence that these lines are going up and Robinhood is going up with it? If you want to go to the trade, if you want to go to the chart below that, Spencer, you think it's a coincidence that these things are moving together, or does that make sense from a risk appetite perspective? MicroStrategies leverage play on Bitcoin and Robinhood kind of in that, right?
I think Robinhood has emerged as one of the premier crypto equities.
And why is that? Can you school me? Why? What's going on? I mean, it's been like that for a while. It's not anything new. But why is that?
From a revenue mix standpoint, they've really done a nice job in increasing their exposure to crypto trading. Still, they still get the majority of their revenues from their traditional brokerage and the fees on stock trading. However, the margins are far better and the growth is far greater for their crypto business. So they're trying to become more and more of a crypto stock and less of a retail brokerage stock. They acquired an exchange, I don't know, 3 months ago.
Yeah, it's certainly acting that way. And then finally, slide 2 here, Spencer, we're looking at the Bitcoin dominance, which we discussed yesterday. We're looking at the percentage of of market cap of Bitcoin as a percentage of total crypto market cap. So Bitcoin by itself represents approximately 58% of all cryptocurrencies. It is by itself bigger than all the other cryptocurrencies combined. And it continues to increase and eat into that market share. Any thoughts on this, Strazza? What does this mean to you?
Dude, I'm just looking in awe at what a monster Palantir continues to be.
Wait, I have a question about this chart.
We know about Palantir. It's
wait, I have a question about this chart.
Yeah, sure.
Wasn't Louis saying the other day in his morning note that The number of altcoins above their 50-day moving average is the highest in 7 months. So how can that be true? And this chart also is it just like a barbell effect where like the very top of the cap scale, which is Bitcoin, and the very bottom, which is all the shit coins, they're all going up and all the stuff in the middle is not? Is that what's happening here?
Well, they're all going up, but their market cap is so tiny and irrelevant that it's hard for those returns to eat into the market share, and it's much easier for Bitcoin. It only has to move a little bit, and it eats into it a lot because it's such a bigger market cap.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Bitcoin alone,
right.
Spencer. Bitcoin alone represents 58% of all cryptocurrency market capitalization. Once you get out of the top 10, Cardano, for example, is 11 billion. Avalanche is 10 billion. Shiba Inu's 10 billion. Chainlink 6 billion. Bitcoin Cash 6 billion. We're already at, and we're only at the top 15 at that point. So from 1.2 trillion in Bitcoin, and then you drop out of the top 10, and you're talking about $6 billion in market cap, may as well be zero. Right? Those things could go up 10x and it won't make a dent.
Fine. So wouldn't it make more sense then to like measure Bitcoin against like the top 5, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, look at it's probably like a top 4,
top 5.
But what's 5th? Why would the 5th one be relevant?
I don't know.
Yeah, no. The 5th one is Ripple, and then
Ripple?
the Doge.
Okay.
So for me, it's more Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, Solana. After that, it's really a big 4, isn't it, Strazza?
I treat Binance, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin as the big blue chips.
So you would not add Ripple?
No.
What about
Spencer wants to add the Ripple?
No Ripple for me. No.
Sorry, Spencer. Denied.
Ripple, Litecoin. Can you really trust them? I don't know.
What
about
like
the Doge?
What about like Solana?
No, Solana's included, Spencer.
Oh, okay, cool.
Solana's don't include Ripple in the Solana conversation.
Solana, numero uno.
You're gonna get us canceled.
There's Solana, and then there's everything else.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
it's true. Sure. It's true. Look, do you guys know why Robinhood was up like 8% yesterday?
Isn't their CFO or the compliance guy going to be the next SEC chairman?
Whispers going around.
Hold on, but then Trump has to be the president for that to happen.
This was just stuff that was rumored that traders were talking about yesterday. I
dug in. So if Trump wins, the compliance guy from Robinhood becomes SEC chair and Moon.
Yeah, right. I think it's as simple as that.
All right. So if you are bullish cryptocurrencies, then I guess you have to vote for Trump. And if you don't care about cryptocurrencies, I guess, like you have the communists from Massachusetts and you've got Kamala, and like none of them like technology improvements, and they don't like cryptocurrencies and all that stuff, right?
We did the math, everybody in the chat, just so you know, we did the math, which is hard to do in an honest way, but we simply took the outperformance from Solana over Bitcoin in the last cycle, and we projected it out as if it were going to happen again. And if we see, I'm not saying we're going to, because it was absolutely wild, but if we see that same level of outperformance, Solana over Bitcoin for the rest of this cycle, Bitcoin could double from its current price and still not be worth as much as Solana in terms of the market value. So it's not as crazy as it sounds. Talking about the flippening. That's what they should make a documentary about, the flippening.
Which one? Great. Solana flipping, the one nobody's talking about.
They should get ready. Look, there's a big lead time making these documentaries. They're all tripping all over themselves to get the first Diddy documentary out right now. If they started a year ago, they'd be done.
There's already a few out. Can we talk about let's give Strazza his flowers. Let's get into more conspiracy theories, right?
I'm not a big conspiracy guy.
All right, we've already talked about 6 of them already so far, and it's only not even 9 a.m. Can we throw a Palantir, please? Throw it up, throw it up.
What a beast.
I got to be honest, though. After our show the other day, a number of people reached out to me and were like, dude, seriously, they're controlling the weather. It's real. So my mom might have been one of them.
Shout out, Mrs. Strazza.
I don't even want to know who they is, but okay.
So I got some very angry commentary last week or over the weekend telling me that Palantir has not made a new all-time high because it was higher in early 2021. My argument was that it is closing at new all-time highs, and closing prices are the most important prices. Thank you, Charles Henry Dow, from Springfield, Massachusetts.
Bang. Palantir broke out to all-time highs back in August, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, this thing is, and that was back in August as soon as it got above the anchored VWAP from those former highs. Do I have that right?
No, it's been above VWAPs. I mean, this thing has been so strong for so long. It took out that VWAP last year. Palantir, there's not a better looking stock in the market right now.
Not a better looking stock in the market. Looks just like MicroStrategies.
This is the hottest stock right now.
Hottest stock, so hot right now. It's like Hansel.
Dude,
so hot.
Look, this thing is going to become an absolute freight train. They're doing a lot in terms of media. So yesterday, their chief technology officer was on. The people in their C-suite, Alex Karp as well, like they really speak to the business and sell it in a tremendous way. Go watch the interview. It was on CNBC yesterday with the chief technology officer. They're saying all the right things. They're doing all the right things. Their business is absolutely blowing up. He called it a 10-year overnight success, but they are really just, turning up the heat right now.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but these guys just put their heads down and built the infrastructure for all of the data so that now that mega corporations want to improve their efficiencies using all kinds of AI, they can build it, or they could skip all that stuff and go right to Palantir and blow up immediately. Is that right?
And yes, absolutely. So if you look at their list of clients, the government list, they have every agency. They have a contract with every government agency. Very impressive list on the government side, so the public side. If you look at their private sector client list, they have a couple, Fortune 100 companies, a couple big caps in there. BP is one of them. I think they got consumer staples company, I forget. But they're nowhere near, the kind of reach that they're going to have. They're going to have every other company, every other S&P 500 company is going to be a client eventually. Right now, that's not the case at all. So I think the runway, the amount of, the growth potential there for their private sector business is really just incredible. And that's really the story here now. They've already been doing great business with the governments for a long time.
And now it's hospitals, it's grocery stores, it's engineering, manufacturing companies, it's insurance companies, right?
I think that's where it's headed, right? Like all of the big companies that you just described eventually become clients, but they're not yet.
You know what I do like is that they're disrupting big, very regulated areas. Love that. Because it means that they're getting through. They're giving the government what they need, right?
We're going to start putting a stamp on it, like special stock. This is a special one.
And it's a good one. These funny mental people, I love it when they can't wrap their heads around the price action. Like the MicroStrategies is trading at quite the multiple relative to its ownership in Bitcoin. Like when these people can't figure it out, that's even better. There's this old lie on Wall Street that things are better when the fundamentals line up with the technicals. That's bullshit. Those people are lying to you. It's way better when the fundamentals and the fundamental people can't figure it out and wrap their head around why prices are doing what they're doing. You see that in the sell side community quite a bit. The 3 sell side analysts that still have jobs, they're going to be revising earnings as prices continue to go higher. That's part of a bull market. Go back and study all the bull markets when there used to be more sell side analysts. There actually were, those actually a pretty good job back in the day. Go look and you're going to see those revisions, and they can't figure it out in their head. To me, that's a driver of the stock. No?
Yeah. Listen, and you say it all the time.
Palantir, Tesla, MicroStrategies, there's a lot of names like that.
Can you imagine, for whatever, politics reason, the guys who run this company are Republicans, right? And then not owning the best stock in the market this year because of that?
Oh, that's just stupid. That's just dumb.
There are people like that. There's people like that.
Whether they're communists or whether they're Republicans or whether they're, what does it matter? Who cares?
Dude, these guys are the biggest freaking patriots, but they're also Silicon Valley tech nerds. The way they talk about America is sick. Honestly, it's awesome. Go watch the interviews. You watch the interview, you hear these guys talk, and you're just so glad that they're on our side. So the interviewer asked, who do you do business with? How do you decide like what countries to do business with? They're not going to do business with China and Russia and stuff like that. They're like, we do business with America and their allies. Like they work for the United States. That's awesome.
Cool. I'm here for it.
Like if Elizabeth Warren was the CEO of a company that was making new all-time highs, I'd buy it, even though I think she has mental problems, right?
I don't care. I have a line. I wouldn't buy that.
You wouldn't buy that because the communists. Remember, she was like
line.
pretending to be Native American. Like, what does that matter? Who cares?
That's below Steve's line. All right.
She probably owns a casino.
Let's bring on Kenny. He's Louise.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come from my club, they took it. Putting up numbers, 99 problems, and I still kept it 100. Hola. Yeah.
Ooh, are you keeping it 100?
What's up?
100? Are these 100 stacks? 100 stacks?
Good morning, fellas. You guys all hunkered down and safe?
I'm going to New York City. I'm having 2 dinners tonight. 2 dinners tonight for JC. I couldn't figure out whether we should get sushi or steaks, so we're just going to do both.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about you. My wife just went to Madeira, the island off of Portugal, and
it's Madeira.
Oh, sorry. I knew you'd have something to say about it. Yeah.
It's Madeira, which is Portuguese for madeira, which means wood because it's lined with forest and trees. I love Madeira.
Yeah, she loved the wines. Yeah, she had a good time. Great time.
Next time you're in Baltimore, there's a restaurant in Baltimore called the Charleston, and super bougie. It's like Southern cuisine meets like seafood. Charleston, right? Their Madeira list is off the charts. As somebody who like looks at a lot of wine lists, I have never seen a Madeira list like the Charleston. I have no idea why. It's totally random. Cool. Like a restaurant like that is a nice restaurant, but they shouldn't have a Madeira list that extensive. So if you're interested in Madeira, go to the Charleston.
I opened up a can of worms here, man. You just can't mention wine around JC or food, man.
Yeah, get it going. Let's go.
There should be a bougie neon sign above you that says bougie.
Dude, I take exams to be extra bougie. Like I'm just not bougie enough.
Oh my God. And I'm anti-bougie. Just give me a hamburger from Five Guys and I'm good.
Yeah, I doubt it. You have dinner with me. You'll be fine. Don't worry. Stick with me, kid. I got you, Kenny. All right. What's on the radar? What's on the radar for today?
Actually, it was a Saint Laurent tour. She went with the chefs and they took them around Madeira and they actually baked their own bread. They picked their own herbs and
I'm the bougie one.
Yeah. Oh, that wasn't me. I didn't go. I let my wife go to Portugal for 10 days without me. I sat on the couch. Listen, guys, if you haven't been paying attention to these little banters that we have each morning, I'm banging out winners. You know, yesterday's summit was pretty awesome. PayPal followed through. The Trump stock was ridiculous. You know, it's 1250. I gave that one to you a couple of weeks ago. Coming out of the Andy Dufresne pattern, 1250 get you 15, 15 get you 1750. You want to hear something that we're looking at today? Weight Watchers. Talk about nostalgia. I mean, my mom used to be involved in Weight Watchers and Tupperware for that matter. So it's a special place in my heart. I used to sit through these meetings with all the ladies. We talk Tupperware, we talk Weight Watchers. But the funny thing about Weight Watchers is, all right, 30, 40 years of us trying to sell you our food and, you know, exercise plans. Screw it. Just take the shot. We're in. Let's just jab ourselves. So I like a short squeeze. I'm watching this thing. If it stays above, you know, if it stays above 165 for a little bit, you might have a rip to 250. So again, this isn't my thing, but you know, I can't ignore a stock that's ripping right now. So that one, and again, pre-market.
This is Weight Watchers.
WW
Weight Watchers International.
Yeah, coming out of the dungeon. So yesterday had a nice run. Today you're following through. So I'll keep an eye on it. But here, so Weight Watchers. Let me show you
as a market participant and historian. I always found it humorous when they upgrade Weight Watchers to overweight.
Now that's funny. I should have wrote that one myself.
David, it always makes me chuckle. You know, am I just like a child, or like is that actually funny?
Listen, I still laugh at fart jokes. So yeah, immaturity keeps us young, man. I'm 50. I'm gonna be 53. Look at me. Guy in the park thought I was 30 yesterday playing.
Dude, you look great, Kenny. You look great, man.
Thanks.
It must be all those cheeseburgers instead of the foie gras.
Yeah, know what it is? The intermittent fasting. That's what I think it does. It does intermittent fasting and probiotics. So maybe that's the secret.
I mean, I think the secret's out. Like, I think people are knowing. People know. Yeah.
Listen, so back to the market. Yesterday was just amazing. I mean, the market just continues to show massive strength. There's always a buyer somewhere, and the correlation between the QQQ and the Chinese stocks is still in place. So China down, Q's up. So right now, I think we're going to have like just a choppy session, make a little consolidation of that QQQ move. That's why focus on stuff like that. But the only trade I did so far this morning was shorting Trump. It had a monstrous move. I came in looking to see if it was above 22.50, and right here, the magic blue line. If it can't hold the VWAP, look to short it. And then we got involved in that massive pullback. It hit the 21. We started covering right down on that hammer down over there, and now I'm looking to short it again if it stays below VWAP. So Trump's back on the list, and now it's easy to short. You don't have to get a borrow on it.
That was my next question, because this just isn't a name that I would short. Like, if anything, I would be long, but if I think it's going to go lower, I would just stay away from it. I wouldn't short it.
Right.
Just because it's like shorting crude oil. Like, you just never know. I'm trying to sleep at night. Like, Orange Man could come out with something crazy. Like, who knows, right? So I won't short it. Intraday is a different story.
Yeah, intraday.
So let me ask you. So it's not hard to borrow at all. Not a big deal.
Not hard to borrow today. Yeah, it was easy to borrow. Also, UVXY on for that matter, that's usually hard to borrow, and you got to pay about $38 a day to get 1,000 shares to short, which is not bad. I mean, usually the stock you're going to make at least $38 on the trade. But if you don't know what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, when a stock is hard to borrow, the better platforms have what we call a locate feature or a borrow feature, and you just pay a fee and they find the stock for you. A lot of stocks like here, for example, there's a stock called Benzi right now. I don't know what it is. Not giving you the up or down on it. BNZI. I see a stock that was $2 trading at $6.50. All I want to do is short it. These stocks are generally not shortable. They won't even let you get a short off. And if they locate it for you, sometimes they charge like $100. So here, let's see how much they want for it. Yeah, can't even short it. So those are the stocks that are really, really dangerous. But again, when you see these crazy moves in the beginning of the day, if they consolidate, and right now, again, I'm not giving you the up or down on this one or the go for it, because these stocks will absolutely terrorize you. $5 stocks, you shouldn't have to risk $2, and that's the nature of the beast on some of these. But if you consolidate below the VWAP and you start getting above it like it's doing right now, the shorts start to cover and the longs get excited. The money gets divided. Now they're broke. So, yeah, that's where we're at right now. I'm just, hunkering down, watching the PayPal. The PayPal got the follow through yesterday.
Yep.
And I'm still looking for 7 more points on it. Not a big swing trader, but we do have some options on this one. Hanging in there. DocuSign, same thing. Held up, yesterday.
All those kinds of names that peaked in early 2021 and got destroyed down 80, 90%. Those are all popping off one by one.
Right.
You got the DocuSign and the Robinhood and the ARC and the Square and the PayPal. I mean, just one after the other. We're seeing it again and again and again.
Right. And by the way, shout out to the guy that keeps crediting me for the Carvana. If you're still in the Carvana, I mean, this might be my most epic call this is the only time where I had a 10 bagger and I still feel like a loser. I had $50 calls in this thing where we were selling it at 20. Oh, sorry, it was a 5 bagger. I had $50 calls that nobody thought would ever play out. We bought them at $5. They went to $1. Next thing you know, we're selling them at 20 and 25, and now they're worth like 100 each. So when I see charts like this, and this was the elusive, I don't know if you guys remember this conversation. This was the Dolly Parton triple Kardashian VWAP break. So you're never going to see that chart pattern again. I don't remember I was on the show with you one time talking about the Dolly Parton. That was when it sinks below the Kardashian, then comes back above the Kardashian, then breaks out. So it's where I thought it could get to. People thought I was nuts that this thing could get back to 192. And here it is. It's always right there for you. And we were having this conversation yesterday. That's why I like being a bear. I'm rooting for markets to get hammered, so then you could have the comeback stories of a century like this. And that's why I'm digging the PayPal and the DocuSign. And I don't even hate the Roku anymore or the Zoom. They're all the same chart right now. DocuSign,
that's
Zoom,
exactly right.
Roku. if they could come out of these bases, the Andy Dufresne pattern, and then they break out, they want to run for freedom. And there's I
want to mention one more thing. Carvana is the bellwether short squeeze stock. Other high short interest names look to Carvana for leadership, right? They look around, they see Carvana's going up, we should go up too. Oh, Carvana's getting smoked, we're going down, right? Carvana is the ibis of short squeezes. That'll be your homework, Kenny.
Okay, I'm on that.
All right, Kenny Glick, ladies and gentlemen, drop the link. Hitthebid.com.
My friends, be careful out there.
Adios.
Hey, and by the way, say hi to Mark Newton for me, one of the greatest charters on the face of the planet. Mark Newton, play some Grateful Dead for him when he gets here.
Haha, nice. Mark Newton, you know, he likes his concerts. He can party.
Good friend of mine.
One more thing I wanted to mention. Thank you, Kenny.
Yep.
One thing I want to mention about what Kenny's doing is that he's doing things on much shorter time frames than we are. I just had a great conversation with Chris Kane, who runs U.S. quantitative strategy for Bloomberg Intelligence, mathematically walking through what diversification really means and the power of the compounding of returns when you have real diversification. You know, from a qualitative standpoint, a lot of us know some of the benefits of diversification, but when you really quantify it, wow, not only are you not sacrificing the expected returns, but mathematically, you're actually accelerating the compounding of those returns over time. It's really, really powerful. And one of the things that Chris wanted to reiterate, that it's not just about finding uncorrelated strategies in different asset classes, although that is one way to diversify, multiple time frames. Having a long-term strategy and a short-term strategy, that in and of itself increases that diversification. You know, Ray Dalio thinks that 15 strategies is, you know, the ultimate diversification. We think that's a bit much. 3, 4, 5 is probably about right. 3 or 4 is probably that sweet spot, because then there's the law of diminishing returns after that. Like the 8th or the 9th strategy, how much more does that help that diversification? Not much. So 3 to 5 is that for sure.
Let's talk about this with Mark. Maybe he has thoughts.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Mark Newton in the house.
Gentlemen, good to see you guys as always. How's everything?
No complaints, man. Just you know, it's a bull market.
You never want to complain, so it's good you don't have complaints, because in this world there's a lot to complain about. But
is there?
It's good to not bring any of that up.
What are people complaining about these days, Mark? I feel like you got your ear to the ground better than I do. What's the complaint of the day?
Well, if you have timeshare in St. Petersburg, Florida, like I do, it's about ready to be submerged within a few hours. So unfortunately, thoughts and prayers go out to those in Western Florida and also most of North Carolina, or the whole Southeast, which has just been deluged, as well as overseas, right? We have 2 major wars and there's a lot going on. So interesting times.
This storm is no joke.
Yeah, it's huge.
No, I hear it. It lessened its intensity, which, you know, I don't know if you can say that's a good thing, just because, you know, what is that, a Cat 4 now, not a Cat 5, but it's still winds of about 150 miles an hour. So, you know, you feel for those that.
And Mark, now I hear another one's coming next week. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. That part of Florida doesn't get, you know, historically has not been, you know, in the path more than the East Coast. Usually it's a Miami area up, and then it curls up along South the Carolinas. But it's interesting to see it hit in the Gulf and really strike several areas in Western Florida in the last couple of years. It's just been devastating to anybody down there. So,
Mark, before we get into the market, I'd love to hear your thoughts on your experiences with Fundstrat. Every time I run into Tom Lee, like I'm just like trying to say, hi, what's up, Tom? How are you? He's always like, so JC, what do you think about the market? I'm like, can we get a hello? Can I get a how you doing? What do you think about the market, JC? So I'm like, oh, I'm great, Tom. Good to see you. So what are you thinking? You know, like he's like all business. And I respect that because I'm a little bit like that myself. How have those experiences been at Fundstrat?
Look, Tom's a wonderful, eclectic, person. He certainly thinks outside the box on many issues. You just don't know him like most of us, right? So he's not going to necessarily open up, even though you're a TV star now and got your successful podcast. It's been a great exposure for myself. Good platform. You know, talking to literally thousands of different clients and much easier to sort of grow my own platform being under the wing of Fundstrat than trying to do it on my own. You know, I have to wear really one hat. I don't have to wear all of them anymore. So that's
how are these experiences different than when you were on the buy side back in the day? Like, is there a big difference? Like, how do you, you know, for people who haven't been on the buy side or the sell side, yet alone both, you know, any thoughts on that? I'd love for you to share some ideas.
Yeah, I could write a book about that. Look, I started on the floor of the CBOE in Chicago. So I actually traded as a floor trader for a number of years back in the late 90s before that became extinct. And so I went from a sort of the wild, wild west of being the last pure form of capitalism between buyer and seller and being in the pit every day, getting into fights and with a bunch of guys farting on each other, looking for the next trade, to going to really blue blood Morgan Stanley and wearing the coat and tie where everything is very hush hush and everybody goes to Harvard or Columbia and, you know, very professional atmosphere. So I went from the wild trading floor to the ultra serious Morgan, and then went from there to Diamondback Capital. Of course, for those that don't know, that was formed by 4 people out of SAC who used to work with Steve Cohen. And they, of course, changed their name to Point 72. And unfortunately, I had to find greener pastures after about 3 years when the FBI came in and shut the whole place down. And so they had, 2 people were charged with insider trading, which one of them took it to the Supreme Court. And ultimately, Diamondback won. But unfortunately, it was a black eye for the firm, and they had to return the $8 billion and shut down. But I was a PM for, a few months. And unfortunately, I was there when that happened. And it was sort of an interesting scene. But, most of my colleagues have gone on to bigger and better things, and myself included. You just have to reinvent yourself. And so I, went from the trading floor to Morgan to Diamondback and then back to the floor of the NYSE, started writing technical research and giving it to sort of hedge fund clients of theirs, and then formed my own firm for 5 years, and now I'm here. So it's been a continual journey, over the last, almost 30 years, I guess, of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, which anybody that's been in the financial industry can relate to.
No doubt. I have to believe that those
prices. Yeah, there are obviously tons of differences between going from, a crazy place where everybody's getting in fights trying to make markets to a very quiet area where you write research under Morgan Stanley, and then going to sort of a combination of the two at Diamondback, where you have very, very intelligent people, but huge egos when people are running, multiples of billions of dollars and making, $10-15 a year. It's obviously a much different story there, So look, this is a wonderful spot. I love Fundstrat. I love, Tom Lee and John Bay and what they've created here, and happy to be aboard as a partner, here and helping to sort of grow the business and just, educate the world as to what I see. So exciting times, and the best is yet to come.
I mean, that had to be such an interesting experience at Diamondback when the SEC came in. Did the rest of those guys go back to SAC?
No, everybody went to in different directions. I don't believe any of the people that were at Diamondback are at Point 72 now, to my recollection. But yeah, to have somebody walk in sweats with the guns and the badges and say everything here is now officially ours, and you have to leave, and many of us are managing, $100 million or more, and say, well,
did you know they were coming? Like,
no, nobody knew. Yeah, this was at the directive of Preet Bharara, of course, after the prior administration, when Wall Street, of course, rebounded from the 2009 crisis, but many did not. And so the suspicion was that the so-called millionaires and billionaires were making lots of money and nobody really knew why. And so, of course, when you run a hedge fund and you have a 2 and 20 model, you're helping to diversify money, and it's a much different system, obviously, than what the administration at the time or what anybody had anything. People just didn't understand what hedge funds do, and arguably they still don't understand the degree of diversification and the hedging that goes into place. And they're always criticized for not being able to beat the S&P 500, but honestly, they protect you a lot on the way down. If the market turns lower, and so they can give you flat returns and a 15% if you can keep up with the market, but you don't lose money if the market's down 20 or 30. When I joined in 2008, Diamondback's returns were zero when the market was down about, over 30% to the downside. So that was pretty respectable.
Yeah. Pre-Ferrara was on some roll back then until he wasn't.
We got rated at the same day as Level Global. And so, I have a lot of colleagues that were there as well. That everybody's lives changed in many interesting ways, but that's what you have to do. It's just that's the nature of the game.
So your day to day now probably very different. Do you travel a lot, and are you seeing clients and talking to clients on a regular basis?
I have probably 3 to 4 hedge fund meetings a day, and so not only on top of that, I write research. I write a pretty lengthy note and do a video every day and put that out. I make intraday comments that I put out to Flash Insights. And I do media appearances like this a couple times a week. So that's sort of helpful to keep myself in front of people.
What are the fields?
So the answer is yes.
You're a pro by now, Mark. You've been doing this a long time.
I'm going to Japan in December. So
awesome.
Mainichi Sakoshi Nihongo Benkyou shimasu. Yeah, I'm trying to get my Japanese down.
Excuse me.
I've been learning Japanese for about a year and a half.
How are you doing it? You're using one of the apps?
I have a tutor, and I'm using Duolingo, and I've been going through Genki and going through YouTube videos and trying for full immersion and really doing everything I can to get, learning the 3 different alphabets is the first challenge when you have to get through hiragana, katakana, and kanji.
You have 3 alphabets? Is that necessary?
Like you just show up and smile and you raise a glass of nice Cabernet, and I think they would respect that. But.
Yeah, but the Japanese, they would like to do business with each other. Gringos like us, it's harder. So you're doing the right thing. Good for you, bro.
That's really
I have a commute. I live in Connecticut, so I come into work and I have to spend my time wisely on the train and try not to get sucked into the negative vibes of social media and try to, keep pushing forward. So that's
shout out Connecticut. Shout out. All 3 of us have lived in Connecticut at one point in our lives.
Yeah, all roads eventually lead there, but some of us will stay. I just sold my house last week, so I'm downsizing now. Both my kids are grown, and
you're gonna be in Florida full time in the future, aren't you?
I'm waiting for the crash.
You're not old enough, Mark. You're still young. You're looking good. You're not old enough to move down there yet.
No, I'm a young guy, just like you. But I.
Get rid of the kids.
When you raise 2 kids, it makes you old in certain ways. So you feel like you want to get out of the real estate market at a time when mortgage originations are plummeting and rates have moved up in recent years, and real estate's largely unaffordable. So it's a scary time.
You're sticking in Fairfield County.
I am still local. Yeah, we're just downsized, but not buying anything for the next few years.
Good for you. That's awesome.
All right, let's talk markets. We have Mark Newton here. I love the stories, Mark, and I love the color and the perspective. Yep. So I really appreciate that. I know our audience loves the stories. So thank you for that. But we got you here. So let's talk markets. Yeah. If the bull market ended tomorrow, it would be subpar returns for, compared to other bull markets. It would be, shorter in duration compared to other bull markets. So, when people are like, these trends are unsustainable, and, the bull market has gone on too long and all these things, it's quite the opposite. There's plenty of precedent for these bull markets to continue for a long, long time. So it's kind of just to put things in perspective. That's how I'm thinking about it. You want to share your thoughts on all that and where we are in the cycle?
Look, I think that everybody's got different time frames, and the more that you educate yourself on short-term technicals and become more of a trader, the more you tend to have a very short time frame, and you tend to lean bearish a lot more than those with longer term perspectives. And that's just the way that most work. You talk to people from buy side shops, and they love the market to go down because things get so-called cheaper and they get to buy dips. But most of us recognize that every 4 years, we do have a pretty serious pullback in the market, and it's really, depending on your time frame, you either get out and go to cash and short it, or you tread water and you wait to buy dips. Where do I think we are in the cycle? I think we're in sort of the 7th inning stretch, honestly. I think that we are, the rest of the decade could potentially be a challenge, but I don't have sufficient technical reasons to try to get people out of the market here. I'm still very optimistic. I suspect that, there might be some consolidation into the election, and that would be viable. I am long into at least the next spring, summer, though, overall. I think that, we are entering a time next year that could be problematic eventually, but I'm not going to take my time here to speak about that. We're going to talk about what's working, which is that, you have about 75% of all stocks above their 280 moving averages. Breadth is outstanding. You've seen industrials, financials, consumer discretionary rip back, and that's been helpful at a time when technology largely has been choppy.
Yep.
So, but as you know, rightly, and many of you, Steve, JC, you guys look at these triangle patterns and many of the tech stocks, and those aren't bearish formations. When you see triangle patterns form after lengthy run-ups, we just saw it happen this week in NVIDIA, lately breaking out. I suspect the same thing will happen to Apple, which is, the S&P's most important stock. So, I empathize with those that are negative for different reasons about what's happening around them. And in this day and age, we get information quicker than any other time in history. And we're all looking at headlines designed to sort of push us to the fringe of being negative on many different subjects. But I think that, the market, you have to sort of separate yourself from what's going on in the world and say that, companies are still making really good money. Earnings are good. The economy is holding up arguably better than expected. And yes, there are some issues on the fringe with the labor market. But, as we've seen in the last couple of months, the economic data has come in and surpassed expectations. And even Powell now is pushing back on the cuts that are baked into the curve. So it's less about, hey, we need to cut rates 200 basis points. That's already down to like 150 between now and next summer. But certainly with the Fed funds, you can afford to bring that down substantially. Given that consumers in some ways are being stretched, and you've seen most of the consumer sector radically underperforming most of the year outside of this most recent rip in discretionary, and some of that is just the casino stocks paying attention to what's happening in China. So I think that it's a long-winded answer to a short question, but I sense that we still have further to go. Historically, election years are bullish. You look at the time between November of election years and the following spring, summer, and they tend to be one of the best times to invest in the entire 4-year cycle. So I'm optimistic. I don't think it'll be a straight shot, but I don't think it's wise to, for anybody that has a time frame longer than 3 or 4 months, I don't think it's wise to sell stocks and try to hope you can pick the bottom on a 5 or 7% pullback.
Yeah.
And then think you can ride that higher. The typical signs of what ends of bull markets really aren't in place now with regards to breadth erosion and seeing fewer and fewer stocks hitting new high territory. That's always a telltale sign. It happened in 2021. You look at advanced declines then versus now, they were rapidly falling off throughout the year. And then, of course, tech peaked in January of 2022 and the market went straight down. But the market gave you clear and loud signs, warning signs of what was going to happen. We're seeing the opposite now. We're seeing the market actually improve in breadth in recent weeks. And so, I get it that it's a very contentious time and divisive, and we have a lot of natural disasters happening around us and around the world with the wars. And I feel for, anybody that's involved in any of this, but I just sense that for those trying to make money in the market, there's plenty of opportunity, and there's plenty of things that are working right now and hitting new highs. And yes, there are some good shorts as well. There's stocks that just haven't been acting well. But
I know Steve's got a question, but I wanted to ask you, Mark. when you talk about these breadth deterioration and the advanced decline lines rolling over before market peaks, when those things start to happen, the market tends to continue higher for a period before ultimately succumbing to that underlying deterioration. That deterioration hasn't even started yet, right? To your point.
Yes,
so
that's right.
I mean, when you talk about legs, like, isn't that part of that thesis?
It is part of the thesis. When you say the market, I mean, you're talking about the S&P, the QQQ, and obviously, it's right.
I'm talking about global equities, the DAX. I'm talking about, it's equities in general. You're talking about breadth expansion. It's not just the United States.
European indices look to be in great shape. You're seeing really constructive movement out of, Japanese Nikkei and a recent resurgence in China. So that's helpful with regards to perception. I think that China is sort of a mixed bag, and they have a lot more fundamental issues. But honestly, it's definitely constructive for me. I think that's certainly something that I always keep a close watch on is watch what the longer term breadth gauges are saying. Look at percentage of stocks within 20% of 52-week highs. Right now, that's about 85%. So very healthy. When that starts to dip and plummet and get down to 60 and 50, and that's when there are warning signs and lights going off. But right now, people are negative and saying, "Oh, it's September, it's a bearish month. Oh, now it's October. Or this is a month of volatility." And markets are, we're breaking back out to new highs. And so it's sort of funny to hear those that have a need to really talk about what's wrong in the world and translate that into why you want to be out of the market. But for most of us that watch the market on a day-to-day basis, I mean, there's still a lot that's working well.
How about rates and the dollar? Do you think rates are going to move lower? Does the dollar follow?
Yeah, rates have been going up since they started cutting rates.
It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, as you know, short-term rates and long-term rates, I think that a lot was built into the economy started to show evidence of improving as soon as they started to cut 50. So a lot of people have been questioning whether that's wise. I think it's very wise. I think you really do need to drop rates substantially, but that's just my own view. The dollar and yields should be on the precipice of turning down very sharply, and that might start as early as next week. I think the dollar pulls back. I'm not a big buyer of, the economy is wonderful and everything is roses. I do think there are honestly fundamental issues. But my own thinking is that the U.S. arguably is still going to end up being, the best house in the bad neighborhood, and there's only so long that the dollar can move lower, and so the yen is still set to show some pretty massive depreciation, meaning dollar yen goes up, the dollar has pretty good weighting against the euro and the yen. Europe is not going to be in as good a shape as the U.S., so it's temporary. I think the dollar and yields likely drop for another 6 months, but I don't think it's going to be a straight shot. I think it's going to be a little choppier. We've already seen a great 5-6 month period of real deterioration, and for those that are trend followers, you don't make much of this bounce. I mean, it hasn't really recouped areas that you really need to say that we're going to see a much further rally to this in either.
Mark, you mentioned S&P 500 earnings. Hold on real quick, JC.
Go ahead.
S&P 500 earnings, they bottomed out. They look good and they're looking better, right? They're moving in the right direction. Doesn't a lower dollar and interest rates only help that trend? S&P 500 earnings? Shouldn't they continue to grow?
Yeah, it should. And so should, crude oil having plummeted over the last 6 months. Right. It's also helpful. I mean, you're seeing in terms of inflation, but also for earnings. So I'm not a fundamental guy by trade. I didn't get past CFA level 2, unfortunately, but
it's a hard test.
I realized after I finished, I'd been doing everything wrong. I was highlighting with a black magic marker. So
nice.
It's
you're probably better off, Mark.
Once you discover the beauty and the simplicity of, and it's not simple, technical analysis, you never go back. Honestly, you take the blindfold off and you realize that the trends do matter, and regardless of your time frame, you can usually substantially outperform those that are using fundamentals that have this cognitive dissonance on, oh, well, things are lower, but that's okay. I can still buy it, even though you've been wrong and wrong and wrong. And then eventually people are right. They say, oh, what is the fundamentals? And I don't disagree. Having companies that massively outperform expectations is very positive, and you want to use that to line it up with the technical picture. But you always got to come back to at least initially using for me, a technical screen of always looking for stocks that are within 5 to 10% of new 52-week highs across multiple sectors. That's your bread and butter. I mean, and conversely, watch ones that are really starting to show deterioration and falling out of bed. And those aren't usually dips to buy, but it goes against human nature. Everybody loves a bargain. They love to buy things when they're so-called cheap. And that's usually a time when you ought to be cutting risk and taking risk off the table when things start going against your thesis, not looking to add. But
they're usually cheap for a reason. You get what you pay for in life, don't you, Mark?
There's a lot of value traps out there. And it's incredibly difficult to try to do what guys like Kenny Glick do to find things that are at 52-week lows and make money trying to buy things that have been going down for a decade. And say, hey, I caught a 40% move, and look, that he's got his game. I love him. He's a great guy. It's just not what I do, And so he's a trader. I'm not. I can be, but I know options, but I don't do rapid trades, and I stick to sort of the bread and butter. I'm more of a swing trader. I look for position trading. I look for things that are at or near highs that are breaking out, and I try to help to educate my clients that you want to be staying away from the stuff that's at new all-time lows, thinking it's cheap. Because it's so difficult to buy things and expect they're going to realize their fundamental value and go magically right back to new highs. I mean, it's a real process of, one step forward, usually 2 steps back, and then finally that changes gradually. But you can make tactical gains on buying something, and your buddy's telling you he made 40% on a penny stock, and it's like, but by and large, these things have gone down for a decade.
Well, all right, Mark, I know you've given us a lot of your time, and we appreciate that. We know you're busy, but I got a quick speed round. Ready? Quick speed round. 4 questions. You ready? Question number 1. Best 2 sectors between now and the end of the year. Go.
I like industrials, and I like I have to go with technology right now. I think tech's going to break back out to the upside. It's been choppy, but I like industrials and tech.
So tech and industrials, not bearish for equities if you are right. Best Grateful Dead song.
Eyes of the World, H674. That would be Roosevelt Island. You have to go back to Jersey. Unfortunately, I don't go to Jersey for many things, but stay out of Jersey. Connecticut is where to be.
I don't know about all that.
I'm a big 70 to 74, really 69. The Pigpen days are where it's at. Sorry to interrupt.
Best fish song. Best fish song.
Well, look, I have a top 10. I would have to give you year and date. Chalk Dust Torture, 7/10/99. Bathtub Gin from Riverport, 7/29/98. Sure. I don't know if you heard any of that. So you have to go with Tweezer. You have to obviously look at late 94, 11, Bozeman, 11/28/94, or David Bowie from 11/26/94.
He's flowing.
Early 90s for Fish, early 70s for Dead. 20
Mark,
years breaks.
Who's got better pizza, New York or Connecticut?
Connecticut.
Don't lead the witness.
I have to say Connecticut. I know. Hats off to. I know there's a lot of fantastic places in Brooklyn and New York. Hats off to them. I live right now. My new pad is literally right near Sally's, which now has a Fairfield location.
Yeah.
As well as Pepe's. So I have 2 of the best that are within striking distance. So it means I have to exercise a lot because I don't eat carbs much, but I do love my pizza.
Good for you, Mark. And I was just thinking about you back in the Chicago pits. Like, you're not a small dude. Like, you're a big dude. You're pretty,
Yeah, it's intimidating when you don't know option theory or the ways of the world with regards to trading in the option pits, as well as some of the professionals that have been there, because they try to pick you off and get you to do stupid things. But we still had the quarter of the orders, and he eats the orders. It's obviously it's all 3/8, 3/8. When I was there, when they went from fractions to decimals, and you realize after the machines took over and the DPMs swallowed up all the market, basically the way trading was, you had guys that would come in and just try to pick off trades mid-market as opposed to making markets, and it just changed the spreads collapsed, and it changed the way forever, of option trading. I used to love doing it when there was a spread, when you do things for 3.5 and it's worth 3 3/4, and you obviously hedge against that, hedge your gamma risk, hedge your delta risk, and basically lock in things until expiration. And it got to be where you had to actually use technical analysis to decide whether you want to be long or short gamma, and really what your expectations are of where the stock's going to move and how quickly. And so there's a lot to it. 90% of option traders just buy out of the money calls because they think something's going up, and they don't realize that you lose 2 out of 3 ways when it goes sideways or down, and you have that burning smell of theta and decay. And it's a lot tougher.
I like how you said that burning smell of
Yeah, well, decay is a real thing. I used to be a premium hog myself, so I was always big on owning options, and it's a tough lesson. When you get too close to expiration, you're better to sell the front month usually and buy the back months, and then when they get cheap enough, then you can buy up a ton of things and try to hedge around that. So, but I was always big on owning a ton of out of money puts and calls and stripping them out of my position and just waiting for the disaster, and then you get a big gap down, and that's where you can make a lot of money.
YOLOs.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mark Newton, thank you for the well-rounded discussion. This is great. We got stories, we got music, we got food racks, we got trades. This is great, Mark. Thank you.
I appreciate that. You guys take care. Have a great October, and hope it's not too spooky. We'll catch up with you in a couple months or so, whenever it works. Okay.
Yeah,
always a pleasure, and good luck with the St. Petersburg place. Yeah, that's tough, man.
Mark Newton, that was great. Listen, I love when guests come on. It doesn't happen often. They start telling old stories about back in the day. I personally love it. I know the audience loves it too. We were like 15 minutes into the conversation. We hadn't mentioned a stock or the market,
I didn't know. I just learned that for the first time about Mark, that he started in Chicago on the fly.
I didn't know that either. I didn't see. You learned something new. I mean, how long have we known Mark Newton? A long time. And I didn't know that.
Shout out New Haven style pizza. Mark said a lot of smart things on this interview.
I don't like that he was hating on New Jersey, though. That's not okay.
It's fine. The smartest
I got New Jersey's back. I got your back, New Jersey. I got you.
Of all the smart things Mark said, the smartest thing was when he answered your question about pizza.
Here we go.
Knew that was coming. Knew that was coming.
I knew what his answer was going to be too, so I was setting them up for you.
Listen,
you know how these Connecticut folks can be with their golf courses and their khaki pants.
I love how much Mark loves Connecticut.
He does love Connecticut.
We got to get him on Off the Charts, though. I want to hear more of those stories.
All right, nice.
All right, real fast. I know we said, JC, I know we said that you would hop, but I want to do Hot Corner today because we had an interesting name, a favorite name, if you will, pop in there. So can we do the Hot Corner first?
Do it.
Shout out Trumbull. Yes, Coscob too.
Trumbull Mall. Shout out Trumbull Mall.
All right.
Really Bridgeport.
So hot right now.
Baker Bros. Baker Bros. Okay. There's Baker Bros and there's everybody else when we do the Hot Corner. Unfortunately, they only invest in biotechs, but they're the best to ever do it. We have the data. Their track record is unlike anybody's. One of the greatest trades in hedge fund history, Seattle Genetics. They made like $8 billion on this trade. Absolutely ridiculous. So when Baker Bros moves, we are paying attention. We are watching them closer than anybody. We had a slight increase. So they filed an amended 13D for us, increasing their stake in Knixa Pharmaceuticals, KNSA. Throw up this chart because we love it when they look like this, right? Baker Bros buys these all the time. Sometimes the charts look terrible. Other times they look great. The thing about Baker Bros is they usually eventually look great. Okay. But we can't buy them when they don't. This one is set up perfectly. I think we're buying this breakout all day, hands over fist. And we're going to ride this one higher with the Baker Bros. 28 is the level. Their other big holdings in the fund they have 3 holdings that make up like 50% of the fund. So Beijing, that's BGNE. They've been in it forever. Insight, same situation, been in it forever. INCY, that's a big one. And Acadia Pharmaceuticals. So those 3 make up about 50% of their portfolio. We'll run down on Baker
There's
Bros.
a name I haven't heard for a while. Insight.
Yeah, Insight. Yeah. Not to be confused with Insys.
I may have confused him. Yeah.
Are you thinking of fentanyl, the fentanyl maker?
I don't know what I'm thinking of, but Insight's a name that from back in the day, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, Baker Bros, we're going to be putting out a special report on these guys. I don't know when, maybe next week or the week after.
Friday.
Oh, Friday.
Yes.
Oh, damn.
I was promised Friday, depending on the storm.
And I better get that page ready. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, guys, if you want the biggest insider transactions every day sent to your inbox, it takes about, I don't know, a minute to like comprehend this email, and it's totally free. The link to get the hot corner is in the description on YouTube. It's at the very top, right where it says free research in all capital letters right there. You can scroll down and click down and get the hot corner right there. So
great. It's a great list every morning. It takes me 3 seconds to get through that list. I had one more thing I wanted to mention, and that is that since Michael Saylor made his first purchase of Bitcoin for MicroStrategies in the fall of 2020, MicroStrategies has outperformed every single stock in the S&P 500, including NVIDIA.
Yeah.
That is, if the CEO has one job, it's not to take care of their employees or to like cuddle people. CEO has one job: increase shareholder value, period. No CEO in the S&P 500 has done a better job at that than a one Michael Saylor. How about that?
Dude, I think he's already in the history books. He won. It's over. And crypto is
I don't think it's over. I'm finishing my statement with a so far.
Listen, this thing,
I don't know that it's over.
This thing can always blow up. First of all, just the way that they're doing this, as Bitcoin rises in value, the value of their collateral is higher. They will borrow more against that and keep buying Bitcoin. It'll never stop. If the price of Bitcoin keeps rising, I mean, they're going to continue,
right?
My point is, it's always close to blowing up, that strategy, right? Like a deep drawdown probably blows that up one day. But until then, I mean, the music's playing. You got to dance. MicroStrategy is going to keep outperforming. But more importantly, crypto is like the realest bull market alpha. We've seen it every cycle. If you want to make the most money in bull markets for risk assets, it's in the crypto market. Maybe it's crypto equities. You could buy them, on the stock exchanges, but it's crypto related assets. That's where all of the alpha is.
I'm just gonna give the love. I like the what's that video where it's like the really pretty blonde DJ and she's playing like the Michael Saylor like song. It's great. Classic.
I don't know.
I'll just send it to you. It's fantastic. She's like a smoke show DJ and she's playing the thing where it's like people who use fiat are poor. People who use fiat are poor. It's like Michael Saylor. It's like a Michael Saylor, like, house music.
I'll have to check it out.
I only listen to DJ Soul.
Hey, Steve, did you check out that Roblox short report yesterday?
No, I didn't. I'm not going to check out any short report. I'm not going to read these things. I think all of these guys are absolute clowns and they're doing a disservice to the market.
Wow.
Shut them all down. Dude, they're bad and getting worse. They're not stopping. Like, enough with the short reports. Shut up. Just go short the stock if you don't like it. Keep it to
I like our short reports.
They did, I think. I mean, they did.
The level of quality in these reports is mind-blowingly bad. What did they say, Spencer? Like, how bad was it?
Okay,
Scale of 1 to 10.
It's two-pronged. I don't want to assign a number to it. It's two-pronged. The thesis is A, they dramatically inflate their engagement and the activity and the number of users on the platform, and B, it's pretty easy to like be a pedophile, right? Like those are essentially the it's a two-pronged thesis, and those are the prongs right there. So Roblox has run into this stuff before. It's a very beaten down name, and it got hit yesterday as well. But I didn't read the whole thing. I read part of it. It's long. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but.
All right, I'm going to the city. I got 2 dinners tonight. I got sushi and I got steak, so I got eating to do.
JC has to run. Steve, you probably have to run too to get your life together. I don't really know what's going on down there by you. So
I'm happy to go get my life together if that's what you want me to do.
Go get your life together. I think we're gonna hop off here. And
no hot corner today. We already recorded it. The video hasn't gone out yet. Or
the hot corner will go out when it normally goes out today. Yeah. So and same thing with Mastermind. It's going to go out when it normally goes out today at 4:00 through the magic of recording.
I think the Mastermind has been great, and JC's had so many awesome guests to come on and talk about, these different topics that people specialize in. We're so lucky to be friends with, some of the experts in this space. So I think the Mastermind, what a treat for people that's been.
If you did not see Steve on the Mastermind, Steve's Mastermind got posted on Monday, Friday. I don't remember when at this point. But if you're,
we talked about some really important momentum topics. So
yep.
Checks it out.
So if you're a member of ASC Premium, check it out there. If you got the Mastermind course, you can check it out there. If you have not gotten those things, you don't know what I'm talking about. You can go to allstarcharts.com and at the top find where it says ASC Mastermind under Premium Research and check it out. All right, that's what we got today. Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you, everybody, like all the nice comments and DMs, all the thoughts and prayers for the storm. Thank you, guys. We'll probably be just fine. We're ready to bunker down. We have everything that we need, and I'll probably update everybody on Twitter later.
Cool.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Have a good day, everyone. Go make some money. Smash the like. Thanks, Mark Newton. We'll see you guys later. All right. No recess today. That's all right. Have a good one, guys.